discuss the formation of an LLC to manage the sports park. And a draft document was distributed, but no action was taken on it. And since that time, I understand that some of you have questions about why we wanted to do that. Even though it was discussed in closed session, we're here willing to discuss it openly with you. But to answer the question of why, there are several reasons. First of all, in the playbook that SFM gave us, which is, they've done this many times all across the country. They have, our recommendation and suggestion to you is to keep the entity separate from other entities, both private and municipal. For payroll purposes, it is helpful to have clear separation since the venue funds the payroll. For operational purposes, the separate entity prevents the commingling of funds and improves transparency. So that was their recommendation. But also, having been in banking industry for many years and having formed many LLCs, it's a shield for liability purposes. It protects us, it protects you all, because we are you all. And so it protects everyone. The wholly owned, it will be a wholly owned subsidiary of E-Town Tourism Convention Bureau, and we will do the audit. It will be audited as part of our audit, so it will be merged back together and just be back in one audit. Our attorneys, Stephen Van Zant and Matt Hess, they agree that we should do this to protect the tourism and the city. And back a month or so ago, we had a conversation with Ed during a transition meeting, and Ed had checked with Dee Dee, and because we were concerned about the process of assigning our agreement that we had with you all, the operating agreement and the lease, and it determined all we had to do was, after the fact, just notify you that we've assigned the lease and the agreement to this LLC, which we will do, and we will be doing a draft assignment. We were assignment from tourism to LLC. Had actually have a document doing that. We got that word back from Ed a week before our meeting, and then Councilman Walker has been asking some questions, trying to help give some more guidance here in the last week since our board meeting. I know I talked to her today. She's out of town. She called today and said that she had talked to Matt Hess and had mainly about the insurance requirements. But which we were going to go down that road when it became time. But we think it's a prudent thing to do. That it's the accounting side of it. All the money will go through that, so we'll know exactly what we're spending on the sports park, as opposed to having to pull it out of our various accounts. It's all on one ledger. Anybody has any questions?
I think it makes sense. I think we've all seen that, and even the city before had held our real estate in a separate company to try to protect the risk that we had, and we rolled it all over. But
yeah, we just need to protect the assets of the Tourism Bureau and the city, for whatever. Because it's not when we get sued at the sports park. It's not if we get sued. It's when we get sued at the sports park. We need to have that layer of.
So Cindy asked a question about insurance. That's so surprising.
We're totally flabbergasted about that.
Actually, I was going to compliment her. She was, I guess it's been 3 weeks ago, she came by and picked up all of our insurance coverage and reviewed it. And
oh my gosh, bless your heart.
I asked her to, because I wanted to make sure we had everything we needed.
Yeah.
And we were in really good shape. We do have a couple of tweaks we need to do. But she has that.
She knows how to do it. She's excellent at that.
So
I'm glad to hear you say, because last I heard was last week about LLC, which I knew it would be a holding company there. And first thing I thought of was, holding companies are usually for protecting assets or saving money on taxes, and I thought it would be good for us. But I'm glad to hear you say that it came from the recommendation from the SFM.
Mhm. Yes, it'd be SFM in their playbook. I mean, that's one of the first things they suggest doing, is because it's, we don't want to have, and they do it for accounting reasons and transparency more than anything. But again, we're moving right along with that. We are still, the draft document that I believe Councilman Walker has is a draft document that has not been finalized yet. So we're still working on that. Nothing's been signed. It has not been formed yet. But the name we're hoping is going to be the Elizabethtown Sports LLC, doing business as Elizabethtown Sports Park. Which we think that's an appropriate name. And again, we haven't got that registered yet. Barry, it's not registered yet. So don't let somebody steal from us. But again, we're hoping that's going to be, and we're hoping to have that done in the next week or so. Anybody have any other questions? I will. And Virgil's here. Virgil came to the meeting last week, trying to learn, and I think that you all, the veterans here, know that you're all welcome anytime. If you want to come. We love having, we love having Matt, having Virgil there. Cindy was there also. So please, feel free to come anytime.
We know that, but appreciate it. Thank you.
You have an update on director, search for director?
No.
Okay.
I know that the deadline to apply was February 1st. I know that the committee is the committee, which is the mayor, Heidi Patterson, Carl Yates, and Todd Pollard have met and interviewed several people, and that's as far as I know.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay. Tim Shaw from planning, come give us an update on the comprehensive plan.
We anticipate beginning work on a new comprehensive plan in a few months, so I wanted to provide a brief update. Just for a little bit of background, council's exposure to the comp plan usually comes when you consider a zoning map amendment. The plan contains a future land use map and written policies that provide guidance on determining appropriate land uses throughout the city. Excuse me. And the plan is the basis of the findings of fact that are either support the approval or denial of a map amendment. But the plan also provides guidance on the other issues related to growth and the changing development patterns within the city. Items such as transportation, housing, historic preservation, and public facilities. Our plan was adopted in 2004. State law requires that it be either revised or readopted every 5 years. And despite the fact that we have done some revisions over the years, the plan is very quickly reaching the end of its useful life. So it is time to prepare a new one. We are now in the process of seeking proposals from consultants to prepare the new plan. The deadline for proposal submissions is February 21st. We have a selection committee set up that will review the proposals, probably pick the top 3 or 4 and invite those in to make presentations. And from those, we will pick the top firm and enter into negotiations with them on the scope of work and cost of the contract. The presentation would take place the week of March 18th. We expect the selection would be probably right after the presentations are made. Our hope is that we will come back to you with a contract in early April, and work would begin sometime in May. Project will take anywhere from 12 to 18 months to be completed. 12 months is possible if everything falls into place just right. In my experience, it usually takes somewhere closer to 18 months. The current city budget includes $75,000 for the plan. That was put in place to show the city's commitment to the consultants as we asked them to respond to the RFP. And it also provided funding if we did get someone on board in time to get started on the plan and make the initial payments. Of course, we will not know the actual cost until we finish negotiations with the chosen firm, but we expect it to be somewhere between $75,000 and $100,000. We have received 11 requests for the RFP. 6 of those firms came back and said that they are interested in submitting a proposal. And after the initial interest, we discovered that 2 of those firms are working together. So we feel pretty confident we'll have 4 or 5 proposals. All of the firms are within probably a 150 to 200 mile radius, so they would be close enough that they can make trips down easily for meetings and take care of the local requirements for the plan. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
So is the rumor true you are participating in St. Baldwin's?
I have made contributions.
You won't be with her, right? Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Michael Page, city engineer, sewer projects.
Good afternoon. Got 2 sanitary sewer projects to discuss with you this evening. If you recall, last summer we bid Smith Avenue sanitary sewer project, and the bids came in quite a bit higher than we had expected, so we backed up and reevaluated the project and the bids and took another stab at it. A better design, one that's a little easier for contractors to feel comfortable and give it a better price. When we went through that project, we went through that process and received bids February 1st. Still over what we had budgeted, but it did reduce the price some. So this is an important project, and I think we can afford to wait any longer. I don't think we're going to get a better price for this project. And it makes you feel better. One of our projects on Pierce Street that we recently awarded came in much lower.
Tell them how much.
Estimated. About $148,000 low.
That's good stuff.
That's good. I'm not going to ask you to participate.
Used to have a buzz haircut some time ago. But Gary Clifford, he was the lowest bidder for that project. I was going to bring that to the next regular meeting for your all's vote and approval. If you have any questions about Smith Avenue, I'm going to jump over to another project. And that is the Bush Lane Interceptor Phase 2 project. Phase 1 was completed, I believe, by 2012. It was a sanitary sewer extension from the sanitary sewer near South Mulberry to the railroads and extended all the way to Western Kentucky Parkway. So Phase 2 is actually taking it from Western Kentucky Parkway, across Western Kentucky Parkway, that collection system near Bush Lane all the way to New Glendale Road. That would eliminate the lift station there and also eliminate a lift station that's on Skyline that's much needed. Either needs to be repaired or omitted, and there's just a good opportunity to get rid of that. Also gives an opportunity to serve the residents on Bush Lane. They're on septic currently, so they're not being served by public sewer. This was a project that we had anticipated trying to get started in the next budget year, but with some recent developments, most notably the new East Hardin Middle School development on New Glendale Road, feel like it'd probably be a good thing to get started on this a little early, get a little head start. Don't want to delay their development any. So not only in East Hardin Middle School, but there's also the new Parkway Business Center, the industrial subdivision that once that gets developed more, this project's going to be needed to be able to collect all that additional sewer. So right now, I've got a total project estimated to be around $700,000. A portion of that come out of this year's budget. That would include the construction, engineering, the easements we need to get, and also some site investigations. We'd like to do some rock soundings through there because there are some deep bores that are going to be all of this project. So I'm not asking you all to approve the $700,000 just yet, but I am going to ask you all the next regular meeting to approve hiring EDG as the consulting engineers to go ahead and finalize the design. That should give us a better defined cost estimate as well, and also to allow us to pursue those easements that we need, get some estimates on some rock sounding. And also, I mentioned Bush Lane having not being on sanitary sewer, public sewer right now, and we can extend that to them through this project. We could handle that through an allocation. We need to set up a public meeting with them to see how much interest they have. And that way we could share that cost with them through an allocation process.
How many residents would that include?
About eight property owners. About 7 of those 8 are developed already in their own septic.
Only 35,000 is what you're gonna be asking for though next week. Comes out of the current
Yes.
budget.
Yes.
They're gonna come out.
And that's a
here.
not to exceed 35.
I mean, you had the funds in your budget for that.
In the sewer fund.
In the sewer fund. I say we kind of keep tapping into the new mayor's fund, so we might not have much left.
Hamilton Blair.
This is the big project that's going to really help out the existing system. Thank you.
Thanks, Michael. Administrator Ed Pope, Glendale Hill Neighborhood.
We're passing down the existing plat for this property.
Ed, we're a little bit older. You're gonna have to have bigger print probably.
Yeah, I'll try to highlight some of it for you guys. Under two reasons we're talking to you all about this project. Under the general notes on this plat, there was a note that said once the lease expires for a power that was on this property that was owned by the city, then all the easements would be released. This plat was originally filed back in the 90s. That lease expired 4 years ago. The tower was removed 2 years ago. So by the note on the plat, the easements, the access to that area was released. Also, under the source of title notes, there is a note that says the city is claiming ownership to lots under the former Moore Heights subdivision, which is actually lot 54 now, once it was replatted, that the city was claiming that by adverse possession. Last fall, the council approved the donation of 4 lots to Habitat for Humanity. Based on their review of the plat and the title work that they have done, they feel that they need to replat the property. So Habitat is paying for a replat of the property for those 4 lots because they wanted it clearer instead of just the note that said the easements were released. They actually want a plat that does not show the easements at all. So Habitat's paying for that, but in doing that, the lots are going to be renumbered. So instead of the 4 lots that were in a municipal order that the city approved, saying we're going to donate lots 47 and 50 and 52 and 54 to Habitat, because they're being amended by plat, they're going to be renumbered and have an A after it. So it's going to be 47A, 50A, 52A, and 54A. So one of the questions was, well, that's not the language that we used in the municipal order. So we're going to bring that to you all, asking you to approve a new municipal order that actually lists those lot numbers. Also, even though the city has claimed ownership to that property without a deed source, the attorneys have looked at it and feel that it might be better if we had a deed source, since we're now transferring the property to Habitat. So we're also going to bring a municipal order to you all, asking the city to deed the property that it has claimed for more than 35 years now to itself, so that we can create a deed that we can then use as a source of title to transfer to Habitat. The city also closed an old right-of-way of Moore Drive back in the 80s. That was then reconfigured by this new plat. The practice back then was you closed a right-of-way by city ordinance, then you went to court and had to give notice, and the court then declared the right-of-way closed, and then you proceeded on. The law changed, I don't know exactly when, but after 1982, when we did this initially. And what the city does now is we close a right-of-way by ordinance, and then we deed the property to whoever the adjoining property owners are. So we never gave a deed to ourselves back in the 80s. We just went through the court process. So that's the other thing we're going to put in the municipal order, again, to help Habitat to make sure they feel they have a good title to their property. So we're going to bring before you on a municipal order. I know it's going to sound strange that we're going to ask your approval that the city deed property to itself. But again, since we don't have deeds to the old right-of-way and to the property we possess by adverse possession, the title attorneys think that's the cleanest and best way to create that source of title. So like I said, that's the reason we wanted to explain it to you, because it sounds unusual when you say we want to give a deed to ourselves, but that's the reasoning behind it. It's something the previous council approved back in November. The city has a long-standing history, 20+ years, in working with Habitat and donating property to them. Their plans are to build 4 single-family houses in this neighborhood, so it'll create more affordable housing in our community. But like I said, we feel we need to bring some municipal orders to you all just to clarify some title.
This could also save future homeowners some possible legal expense,
Correct.
Title search expense,
Correct.
things like that.
That's
Probably
correct.
a good thing.
What else? Okay, February 19th meeting items.
We put a number of those in a memo to you all, just trying to outline some of that. I think you also had a memo this evening. Don's looked at purchasing a piece of equipment, so we'll put that on the agenda too. If there's anything else that you all are aware of that we need to add, let us know. Just as a reminder though, our meeting next week, the formal meeting, is on Tuesday. That's set by our city ordinance because Monday is President's Day. So because it's a federal holiday, the city ordinance says we meet the Tuesday following federal holiday. So our meeting next week is actually on the 19th, Tuesday, instead of Monday.
Can I ask Don a question about this? Yeah. Don, these aren't apples and apples.
There's a little bit of difference. I mean, they're both compact excavators, but one has an articulating blade, the Caterpillar unit, and you can use that. You got a lot more flexibility, especially when you're working in traffic. Instead of if it's a straight dozer blade, you have to back out into traffic to get the whole field.
The question would be, could you not get this case with that blade
It's not available.
Not available, okay.
Correct.
One of them closed.
Yeah, the Caterpillar, I guess, is a closed cab. Well, both are closed cab.
Yes, they're both in closed cab. The warranties are a little bit different. The 4 years, 2,000 hours on the Caterpillar just gives you longer to get those 2,000 hours in versus a 2 year, 3,000 hours.
How many hours we use those a year roughly to run?
On the average, I couldn't tell you.
The years would, well, I guess my point is, I guess the years would be more valuable to us.
The years are more valuable, exactly. That will be used by the street maintenance and construction group on projects in the right of way.
Unless we have a lot of branches.
Unless we have a lot of branches, then we use, that's why you get the thumb. And then we have attachments, and they are designed for Caterpillar equipment. And we have a Case and a Caterpillar compact excavating unit in Public Works. I believe Gas Department has a Caterpillar unit. I think Stormwater has one, IHI. Yeah. So.
Was it Mike Miller's here? He served on the bids committee forever. What was it they liked, and they would always say,
Yeah.
We had purchased a Caterpillar unit first, and in doing that, then we bought different size buckets, and you have to do some work limitation in order to be able to use those buckets.
Thank you.
I have greetings from the airport. Today was Air Board Day. And traffic was down a little bit in January. I think a lot of that had to do with some weather-related issues. Of course, the hangars are at full capacity. Some of their traffic this month, I don't know if you read or noticed, but Bailey Lumber, corporate traffic that is, Bailey Lumber, Sullivan Auto Group, Wagner Tire, Summit Polymers, of course, Jack Henry Associates use the airport quite a bit. University of Tennessee head defensive football coach was here. And then following him was Tennessee head football coach. And following him was the United States Army football team head football coach. So they're after somebody.
Yeah.
I think some of the guys thought that they maybe knew who that was. I think there's somebody over in DeRue County.
I'm out of eligibility.
So anyway, we had a lot of scouting crews that came in, had another dog rescue, had some cadet orientation flights, had some military operations. Good news, we had applied for some runways marketing project that the cost was $175,000. We've been notified that's been approved, it's being scheduled. And I think DD has signed the request for that. And the good news is no city funds match on that. So $175,000. Other news is that we've been waiting to do a very expensive and required fence project. They think that they were notified by the FAA that $1.2 million has been freed up for that. And we're going to try and rush to see if we can go ahead and get that fence installed this coming year. We will have some city match on that. We'll know by budget time though, but obviously if it's 1.2 million, our match will be $60,000. Big tall fence, 10 foot above ground and 3 foot underground. So
Don't you crawl?
no, they don't want you to crawl underneath that. So greetings from the airport.
Anybody else?
Did see the airport issues from the last audit, so
Yeah.
thank them for.
I will thank them. They did a really good job on that.
It was like they addressed every issue that was brought up. Good job. Just, the meeting, tourism the other day, very informative, especially for someone that's not set in on something like that. I was asking them, like, Sarah, I would think Sarah Vaughn, we're missing a little bit of an opportunity to really share information and work together collectively through what they discuss. Not again, I'm new to this, but man, there's some great information. I'm looking around who's participating in this meeting. And, just a recommendation. We work collectively together to make our city the best it can possibly be. But anyhow, it's just very informative. Again, this left hand involved your right hand, not duplicating, and information part. I think this would be a great opportunity.
I think historically though, Virgil, that, and I'm not saying Jim hasn't in the interim role, but I mean, historically, Sherry and Jana have, I think, always had a good working relationship with Sarah, even though she may not be present at meetings. I think there's a lot of dialogue that takes place back and forth between the staff out at the tourism office and our event staff.
Like, as our event staff, they do a monthly meeting with State Theater, as well as Stacy, I don't remember his position. Thank you, Heritage Council. I mean,
Nothing that's formal, Virgil, but like I said, from a staff standpoint, they're probably talking with each other more than a couple times a week. Like I said, I don't know that they have a formal, oh, let's sit down the second Tuesday at 10 o'clock and exchange, but there's lots of dialogue that takes place at that staff level, especially when events and marketing and those kind of things overlap.
Okay. Thank you, everybody, for coming. We're now adjourned.